51 teams have played in the Premier League since its creation in 1992, and I've seen lots of debates over which teams belong in England's top flight and which teams are simply overachieving. Today I'm going to rank every team in Premier League history by their average points per season up until the end of the 2023-24 season to see who truly belongs in the Premier League. Obviously, I don't expect everyone to agree with me, and that's fine. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. There are plenty of other ways to rank these teams, and I'll be exploring those at a later date, probably alongside the next international break. So let's start with the worst team ever to play in the Premier League, and that is Luton Town, who were relegated with 26 points last season. And as that was their only season in the Premier League, that's also their average number of points, which is the lowest out of all the other teams in Premier League history, but they were very closely followed by Huddersfield Town, who scored 26.5 across their two Premier League seasons, though the year they were relegated really drove that average down after a successful first season. After Huddersfield, there was quite a jump, but remember some of the early Premier Leagues had 22 teams, which may skew the results slightly. Swindon Town got 30 points in their only season, but they did have 4 more games than Luton. So that's a bit harsh on Luton and Huddersfield, but that's the way it's going to work out. There is one more example of the 42-game season coming into play a bit later on, but for now, the teams just above Swindon are Bradford City with 31 points over their 2 seasons, Cardiff with 32, then Hull City scored 34.2 across their 5 years in the Premier League. Barnsley were only here for 1 season. They went down with 35 points, then Watford only scored an average of 35.6 across their 8 seasons. We've then got Sheffield United with 37.5, though I can imagine last year dragged that average right down. Then West Brom just above them with 37.7. Sunderland got 38.6, Burnley just ahead of them with 38.8. Then Blackpool are the highest ranked single season team. They were relegated with 39 points. Derby County hold the record for the worst ever season, but they got 39.1 points across their 7 seasons in the Premier League, with Reading just ahead of them on 39.7. 40 points is usually enough to stay in the Premier League, but for these next few teams it hasn't got them into the top 20. Norwich had 40.2, then Wigan got 41.3, and current Premier League side Bournemouth have an average of 42.6. Birmingham City are next with 43, then it's Portsmouth with 43.1. Fulham miss out on the top 30 narrowly with 43.45. They miss out to Wolves by a fraction as they have 43.5. Crystal Palace are a championship team by averages as they have 43.9 points across their 15 seasons in the league. Queen's Park Rangers have exactly 44, and Nottingham Forest's multiple relegations cost them as they miss out on the top 20. And then we've got Bolton just ahead of Forest, and Middlesbrough closely ahead of them. Here's where that 42-game season comes into play again. Oldham Athletic narrowly miss out on being selected as a rightful Premier League team as they averaged 44.5 points across those 2 bigger seasons. But the final 3 teams who miss out, and by the law of averages belong in the Championship, are Swansea City, Ipswich Town, and who just misses out? Charlton Athletic. So all of those teams I've mentioned belong outside England's top flight. Of course, I've used a very specific point scoring system, and this doesn't reflect my own opinion, but please feel free to tell me I'm wrong in the comments. So here's the top 20 teams taking their rightful place in the Premier League. And it's so close between those coming in at 20th up to 17th. Southampton, Coventry and Brighton would be relegated back to the Championship, while Stoke City finished just above the relegation zone. Amazingly, Brentford, who have only played in 3 Premier League seasons before this year, averaged 48 points per season. So according to this, they belong there. West Ham, Leicester, Wimbledon and Sheffield Wednesday are very close with just a few decimals separating them, but here's where it starts to jump up, and these final 11 places probably aren't much of a surprise. Aston Villa have 51.2 points per season, missing out on the top 10 to Everton, who have 51.6. Newcastle are 9th, while Championship Blackburn Rovers squeeze into 8th, But they aren't the highest ranked non-Premier League team on this list. That's Leeds United, who are just above them in 7th. And jumping up quite vastly now, we have Spurs 6th and Manchester City 5th. Though it would be interesting to see how far they would have climbed if I do this again in a few more years. Chelsea and Liverpool are very close in 3rd and 4th, and you knew who the top 2 would be though, didn't you? Arsenal are 2nd, and they outscore Liverpool by less than 2 points, but Manchester United outrank Arsenal by almost 6 points. They're by far the best team in Premier League history, and with 13 titles, that's hard to argue. What did you make of my list? Is there anything else you think I should rank over the next few weeks? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and please consider subscribing to my channel for more videos like this.